What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I will be making a full review for the SaGa Soul Pinkpunch Better that brings Pinkpunch a buffer for attack and defense boosts for male and unknown gender. Then Faye, a counter unit that will counter with slash damage and buffs SGR and will. Tsubaki, made for enemies that use spells, she can block, reduce damage taken, buff the enemy's intelligence, and buff the party's will. Let's go straight out to our srs.xyz website. Starting out with Pinkpunch, she gives a name to the banner. She has 100% endurance and will, those are very average levels. Then SGR is 108%, with agility being 131. That's the highest status, and it's not even the highest we've seen. We saw 140% in the past. She has a little more charisma than love though. We have 50% damage increase via two different passives. She self-buffs all status by 15%, recovers 2 BP, reduces damage taken by 30% at all times, but also has defense up, decreasing damage taken by 15%, a max of 5 times on turn 5 and beyond, so she actually decreases damage taken by a lot, since she can already cast a defense boost that decreases damage taken by 20% as well, lasts for 2 turns in stacks. Besides, on the start of a turn, she will grant all other surviving allies an attack boost that will increase their damage by 60%, but it's locked to male and unknown gender. 60% is very high, and it actually can reach good values if you are using her skill number 3, but more about that later. Then she also decreases damage taken via defense boost 30% for males and unknown, but she is a female type, meaning that she does not get that herself, but that's why she has so many damage passives and decreases damage as well. When landing an attack, there is QT Strike. That is the skill number 3. It's a fast roll attack with blunt damage that before attacking will improve damage potential by 30%, lasts for 3 turns, but when using it as a chase is 25%. When using it as command, 10 BP, it's, well, a little bit more than I wanted, but she can use it every 2 turns without BP batteries, but many characters are giving BP to the party right now. This doesn't seem like a big problem. She will also, after attacking, buff attack boost for male and unknown, this time for 30% for 3 turns, so this will stack. The thing is, if you are using QT Strike as your main command and you chase, you will then buff 55% to Pinkpunch and then 55% for all other male and unknown characters of your party. If you stack this 3 times, because you managed to use it 3 times in a row, just from this one alone, you're gonna get a lot, 165% attack boost alongside the other 60%, you are getting as much as 225% attack boost. But that's not just that, we also have a skill number 2 that is support and fast, and it will grant an attack boost of 50%, lasts for 3 turns, that is to herself, and also a defense boost that decreases damage taken by 30%, lasts for 3 turns as well. That really doesn't matter too much, but what matters is that she will also give the same values for all other male and unknowns in the party. Okay, so we got here 50% and then 30% damage reduction. She also recovers all surviving allies BP by 5, meaning even herself, so this actually comes for free. You can only use it once till you recharge every 5 turns. Okay, she also has a skill number 1 that is free, and it's roll-based blunt damage. Now, why would you want to use Lovely L? Because this one will give you a defense boost, but if you are just attacking and you have enough BP, you can use QT Strike, and that will be better. But if you want to apply more defense boosts, using Lovely L is nice. The thing is, what is Pinkpunch doing? Blunt damage, and she wants to be used alongside very specific squad. She combos super well with a male unit called Hawk. Hawk already has attacks and defense boosts for the party, and he even applies that for 2 turns via his Great Captain passive. When he or other people are hit, he triggers different effects. So when used together, you can allow Hawk to start strong, and then Hawk gives back to Pinkpunch, and they will be helping out the party. But the party has to be composed by unknown and male gender, and that is a little complicated on recent times because the game loves to release female units that are nukers. Like you can even see here on the website, and Faye is a very good damage dealer, but a specialist as a counter. We have For example, Tatiana as a strong damage dealer, Liza. There are, I think Ray is more of a buff breaker than a damage dealer. But hey, none of the dragons are really nukers, but Genryu is a no, as you can see here, and can be a very useful one as well. MacLeod Sarah is good for damage, but is female. See where I'm getting? Many of the damage dealers are female units, because this is a gacha game. So it kind of limits her gameplay, and people will have to think about their box if they have enough units to make a full party. And there are already too many restrictions in boss fights. Like you cannot use a direct slash attack, a direct blunt attack versus the newest challenge. And it's hard to build a roster that has all elements, all roles, and pair up with Pinkpunch when what she offers is not really game-changing. If you want to increase your damage, there are plenty of specialists, for example, those that decreases the enemy defenses, those that buff status. It still depends a lot on the enemy fight. The good thing about Pinkpunch is that attacks and defense boost cannot be broken. Only her buffs on start of a turn can. So that is good, at least. I don't think she's a very useful unit. There is no future style. She's just what you see. And because of that, I think she only deserves a 3.5 out of 5 when use it on the right situations. Moving on, we have Faye, and Faye is actually a pretty good style. She has 138% STR, very close to the cap, that is 140% right now, 101% endurance and wheel. Those are actually bad. She's a counter unit that needed more. Her agility and dexterity are okay, nothing else matters. She has a 20% damage increase and then a 40 for a total of 60%. She reduces damage taken at all times by 30 and then by 40, so 2 times. On the start of battle, she starts with 13 BP to use her skill number 3, and then she also grants a chain and attacks Saturn Blade for 4 turns. What is that? That is the skill that Ellen has. That is a column attack with double S power that will grant you a new passive that will add a BP recover by the end of a turn. So in 4 turns attacking, you will be able to reach as much as 7 BP per turn for free. You don't even have to use this skill yourself. It's coming as a chase. Pretty nice. Now, when being attacked, she gets a charge of Axe of Vengeance for 1 stack. This charge lasts for up to 4 turns. So, this is similar to a counter strategy, but a little different as well. When you are attacked by any type, direct or indirect, you're gonna get this Axe of Vengeance. And when you are on overdrive, you're going to chase with Vacuum Strike. Vacuum Strike is an S power attack that hits a column. Well, it could have been a much better attack, right? But we should also remember that we had characters in the past like Mask. And Mask had the similar mechanic, but he wanted other people in the party to be hit, and he would then chase with Thunder Whip. That is just C power. And then after Mask, we got the other version of Julian. And the Julian has mechanic where if he is hit by an indirect attack, he can then chase with double S power attack. This time slash and pierce, at least double element. Just like Mask, but there's a big difference in damage between those units. And, well, Faye doesn't care if the attack is direct or indirect, as long as it's against her. So it's actually the best version of all those 3. And you are totally going to reach overdrive in 4 turns, because a normal attack gives you 25 points, for example. The enemy attacking you gives you 8. If she dies once, she will revive with full HP, and by the end of a turn, she already gets 25 points of OG Gauge. You will usually get into overdrive every 2 turns. And also, when ally is attacked, there is a 37% chance to cover that attack, reducing damage taken. So that's even better, because when she covers, she's going to get the stack of Axe of Vengeance. Not just that, when she's attacked, she's buffing SGR and Mew by 15% for everyone. But wait, is that right? Yes, remember Julian. Julian, tank style, buffs STR when he's hit by 15% as well. And then when he attacks, he counters usually, he will then be buffing Endurance by 15% for everyone. But he then needs to counter in order to do this. He will then get defense boosts and become super defensive. His damage is better, his coverage is better, his taunt is better, but his damage is also reliant on the enemy attacking you directly, while Faye doesn't need the attack to be direct. She works even if the enemy is using AoE attacks, and that is actually pretty interesting, since it will help you versus enemies using spells. There is other tank unit that is amazing, and Per got a 5 out of 5 from me. This unit is broken. He does have taunt, while Faye doesn't. He also applies stealth to the other people, and when he is attacked, he buffs SR, Dexterity, and Intelligence. And when attacking, much like Judah, he will be buffing Endurance and Will. While Faye buffs Will when she is hit, doesn't matter the type of attack. And Will is a much better buff than Endurance. The problem with Faye is that she does not have taunt. So, well, you will be lacking a little. The enemy may just choose to attack some other people, but that is a little fixed with her cover. So even if the enemy uses an AoE attack, you still have a 37% chance to apply cover, so that only 4 units are attacked. And if the attack is AoE, you will never be able to counter that, but Faye can, via Overdrive, getting those Acts of Vengeance. If the enemy attacks like 5 times, you're gonna get 5 attacks on Overdrive. That is pretty interesting. Faye is really much better than I expected. And moving forward to skills, the first one is Judgment Slash. It's just a free, well, 1 BP volume attack that will also give an attack boost of 15%, lasts for 2 turns. It's just use it when you don't have enough BP, because she has 2 other ones that are nice, like the second one has delay and it hits a column, and 10 BP will recover her HP by 2000s or more. This has delay, it helps that she gets hit and then recovers, so that she has full HP for the next turn. And then on Overdrive, you can either use Judgment Slash, because it's just 1 BP, and you are on Overdrive, because that will improve the damage of your chase attacks. Or you use skill number 3, Rune Chopper, for 13 BP, you have 4S power instead of triple S. And it works, and depending on the number of chases you have, you can just use Judgment Slash and it will be fine. The problem is that there are no inheritances for Faye. She's a one and only style, but much better than you think. She comes close to being one of the best counter tanks in the game, getting close to a 5, but because of lack of taunt, although I know that cover kind of tries to fix that, it is not as good. I would say that she's a 4.5 out of 5, and if you don't have Julian or Emperor, she's a very good pick. And then for X teams, on Remembrance, she still helps a ton, even though we actually need more of defense boosts than anything else, and she's not really a counter unit to stop the Megalith Dragon, so it is easier to skip Faye because of that. But there's a future Remembrance fight where the enemies will be aligned in a column, and she's going to help a lot. Moving on, the last character will be Tsubaki. Well, she's an S-Word user, and she's competing with J-Mew. If you already have J-Mew, you may actually skip her. 117% Dexterity is not really high, but she does have 107% Intelligence, because she's a debuffer. Agility is 105%, very close to what J-Mew has as well. 86 Endurance is kinda low, and 103% Will is just average these days. Nothing here is really too high. Moving on. On the start of a turn, she will then apply all surviving allies a defensive stance spell that decreases spell damage by 35%. So if the enemy uses spells, you're gonna decrease by 35. Remember that this is multiplicatively, and if you have other damage reduction passives, it will all stack. But every 3 turns, she also casts a nullify damage for spells. That's right, every turn 3, 6, 9 onwards, you're not going to take damage from spells. But don't forget that spells have an elemental icon, and skills that have double element will still hit you. Then, on the start of a turn, she grants all surviving allies an attack boost that will increase damage potential of everyone by 15% just for that turn, and a defense boost that will decrease damage taken for everyone by 25%. That's already nice, every turn. This part does not matter if it's a skill or a spell. And then she will buff all surviving allies' ailment resistance by large effect. This is free. And we have to discuss this coming from Key, that also had this in the past. And it was even similar, but very large. Okay, very large, and she could also increase via other skills. And then we got Muse. Muse can also do the same. She buffs via passives, and she also buffs via skills, but hers is very large as well. And even beauty. In her past style, she had a way to buff ailment resistance, but in that case, it was large. And then she has the newest style that buffs ailment resistance when you are hit when using skill 3. That is the best type of ailment resistance buff. And Muse is still better than Tsubaki, but Tsubaki is all about using it together with her other stuff that we'll be discussing. When she lands an attack, she always recovers 2 BP. That's nice because she has a guaranteed chase. She recovers 7 BP per turn. The chase attack is called Gold Conductor, and that is a node skill that is actually pretty nice. Single target, pierce damage, double S power. And when the attack lands, you have a chance to debuff the enemy intelligence by 15% on rank 1. And it does not rank, since it's a chase. Her intelligence is 107%. That is usually enough, and if you can bring buffers, do it, because some bosses may have way too high will. And besides that, Gold Conductor also buffs will by 20%. Also, she has a 40% damage reduction at all times, and when landing any attack, she will debuff the enemy's intelligence by 10% as a guarantee. It does not have an intelligence check, so that's actually pretty amazing, especially because of her older skills. First one, Blurry Needles Plus. It's an AoE attack that tries to debuff the enemy intelligence by 15%. This one will check your intelligence. If it is high enough, you will then debuff the enemy intelligence by 15 plus 10, so that is 25%. And then the chase attack will be debuffing by another 25%. So one target will receive 50% intelligence debuff. That is usually enough, well, in 90% of the situations. Second skill is Triple Star Plus. That is a triple S power attack with MVP cost that would then buff break the enemy. Very useful because many bosses are self-buffing and they become super dangerous, especially if they buff intelligence. The third one, 1000 Pierces. It is a roll attack with pierce damage, double S power, and 10 BP cost. Because she has 7 BP per turn, it's pretty easy to give her enough BP to keep using either Triple Star or 1000 Pierces. When the attack lands, she will cast Morale Down Medium to the enemy, decreasing the damage at the source by 25%. This does not stack, but it lasts for 3 turns. You can use this and then use Triple Star on the next turn. If the enemy does not self-buff too much, it's actually pretty doable. When the attack lands, it will also try to debuff the enemy's intelligence by 20% on max rank. So, when you consider the chase attack and all passives, you can debuff as much as 55% intelligence. That is more than enough. You can cycle between 1000 Pierces and then Triple Star. And if you don't have enough PP, it's okay to use Blurry Needles as well. But she needs at least one character in the party giving 3 BP every turn to have a wide variety of options. And you can inherit, if you want, Gold Conductor, as you can see here, because this will then debuff the enemy intelligence by the same value as you can see here. It's also medium, but you're going to trade the Morale Down effect for an will buff that will reach 30% value on max level. And nothing else really matters. That inheritance comes from her last premium style, but it's not really required. I believe that she exists to block spell damage and help debuff the enemy's intelligence to avoid ailments, since she's also buffing ailment resistance. It's still a very specific character, and since she's a Ass's Word user, she's competing with J-Mew. That is much better in my opinion. J-Mew has a problem with RNG, but for Remembrance, you only need to clear once, and he has 3 different attacks that can chase, and he gives attack, defense boosts, and debuffs all status besides love and charisma. And if we are discussing other types of debuffers, Poe is a very good one, but we'll be discussing Poe only on the next video. Okay, so I think Tsubaki is good enough and deserves a 4 out of 5. But also pretty skippable, especially if you have J-Mew. Now, moving back to the banner image, is this banner worth summoning for? In my opinion, it just has medium value. Why? Faye is really good, because she does have will buff when she's hit, and she has a better type of counter that does not rely on the enemy using direct attacks on you. And she competes with Juden and Emperor, the best ones right now. Faye also works kinda with Hana, but she has to use overdrive every 2 turns, and you are going to lose one of your slots for Hana mechanics. Tsubaki is good, but totally replaceable, and it's not better than her competition, and Pinkpunch is really hard to use. Because of this, I'm going to give this banner a Silver Minus award, and I am not pulling for. I don't think it adds too much, unless you really want to get Faye. Anyway, this is just my opinion. What is yours? Please say here in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and if you want to support the channel, links are in the description. Hope to see you soon in the next one. Goodbye.